a football game. What an extraordinary, that had a Super Bowl-esque kind of feel with two sensational quarterbacks dueling and playing and elevating, just elevating. Who would have thought that Tom Brady would throw for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, and be outplayed in his own stadium last night by Dak Prescott? But that's what it was. And to me, last night was a lot more about the Cowboys than it was about the Bucs. The Bucs are excellent. They're going to be excellent. I don't take back one word I've said about them. I do believe they will make a run at unbeaten. The first game is always a little bit tricky. They're going to be fine. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still clearly the team to beat in the NFC. Nothing I saw last night changed that. In fact, if anything, I'm more confident the weapons they have offensively. Mike Evans didn't even get involved last night. I mean, between Godwin and Antonio Brown, who looks outstanding, and Gronkowski, who looks outstanding, they're going to be great. But last night was about Dak. You can't have everything lined up against you any more as a football player than Dak Prescott had last night. Up to and including the fact that when he runs out there for the first time, I turned to Stevie, I said, can you believe this? The first time he gets the ball, he's on his own 2-yard line last night. But Dak, you know the story. The last time he took a hit in anger, he wound up with his foot facing in the wrong direction, and that was 11 months ago. And he wasn't able to play in any preseason games between then and now because of the shoulder. So he hasn't barely been throwing, and he's been taking mental reps, and he's playing without his best offensive lineman, and he's playing against this great defense on the road on the night that they raised the Super Bowl banner. And all he did was say, so what? I'm the freaking man. That's what Dak Prescott did last night. He elevated in my eyes, and I'd be stunned if that wasn't a feeling that was shared by a lot of people. There were two schools of thought on Dak Prescott, I think, going into last night and in general. I don't think anyone thought Dak Prescott was a bad quarterback, but I think there were two schools of thought. Dak Prescott is good. There was a school of thought. Dak Prescott is a good player. And then there was the Dak Prescott is a great player school of thought. There were a lot of people who were already there. I will confess, I was not one of them. I am now. I wake up in awe of the performance of Dak Prescott last night. The courage, the guts, the mental toughness, that was Jordan-esque, which is the highest compliment I can pay anyone. The unwavering self-belief. He was the best player on the field last night, playing against by far the better defense on the field last night. I am absolutely blown away by what Dak gave you last night, and it does change my perspective on him and maybe to some degree on what to expect from the Cowboys season. Now, I'm really interested to hear the perspective of Bubba, because many of you may not know this. But Bubba, of course, is our board operator here, and is before his extraordinary career in radio production, he was a member of the Cowboys organization. In fact, he was one of the original members of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. So he's been around that organization forever, and he wore a Dak Prescott jersey on the show yesterday. I opened Get Up this morning by wondering aloud, Bubba, is there such a thing in the NFL as a moral victory? Do you come away from last night feeling more like a win or like a loss after that performance?
Oh, I mean, if I had to choose one, I would take a win. You know, I'm not exactly in love with the moral victory, but if I had to pick one, that would be the definition of a moral victory. I mean, every single person was saying, you're going to get blown out. Why even bother? 20 points, 30 points. You're terrible. You're awful. Dak sucks. Everyone's terrible. Ridiculous. Dak, unbelievable performance. A++ for him. Amari, A+. Gallup, killing it. A. Defense, showing signs of improvement. Offensive line, a few too many holding, but, you know, they were stepping up without Zach Martin, so I'll take it. Little concerned about Zeke. I don't know what's going on there. That's going to be a problem going forward. Special teams, F, just get out of here. But overall, unbelievable signs to build on for the season. I think a lot of people are going to be changing their predictions for the NFC East after last night.
Amari Cooper had 13 catches for 139 yards.
I mean, that guy's unbelievable.
And 2 touchdowns last night. CeeDee Lamb had 7 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown last night. Again, Dak Prescott threw the ball 58 times last night for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception that was not his fault. That ball goes directly through the hands of CeeDee Lamb. That's the only blemish on the resume last night for Dak Prescott. I do believe in moral victories because when the schedule comes out, you figure to yourself, well, that's an L. That's a loss if everything goes right. For them to be right there all the way through it, and then obviously the call at the end.
Oh, brutal.
I hesitate to even ask this question to Bubba, and many of you may not know this, but in the interim, between the time that Bubba was working in the Cowboys organization and that he came to radio, he actually was a member of the NFL officiating staff and has been involved, if I recall correctly.
A lot has changed since then, I see.
Heavily involved in the design of the offensive pass interference call. So I will ask you, should that have been an offensive pass interference last night? On Chris Godwin at the end of the game.
Oh, I mean, 100%. That was, I mean, the first thing I thought of was last year with Gallup that they called against the Rams, which he pushed off. And if they're going to call that, they 100% should have called this. He clearly pushed off. It was unbelievable to lose for that. And, you know, the second we gave the ball back to Brady, I was like, this is done. So I understand why McCarthy kicked the field goal, but I think in that point, you just got to go for it on four down territory because you're going to give the greatest quarterback of all time a minute and a half, you're going to lose the game. That's just going to happen. But penalty aside, we should have just gone for it on fourth down.
The OPI, though, to go back to that, the most frustrating thing about pass interference is that it is the least consistently called.
There was a ref
play.
right next to him, too. It was literally right next to him.
It wasn't that he didn't see it. He just didn't take the flag out of his pocket.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.